The Secret Garden, Part 3. I'd always liked the story of the secret garden. I don't know what it is about it. Perhaps it's the mystery of what lies behind a high wall. Anyway, this is our secret garden. We were fortunate to be offered a field, a small field next to our property, and I bought it. I remember what Mark Twain had said: buy land, they're not making it anymore. So we bought it and made it into a secret garden. It was an unprepossessing sort of site, really, a sloping field, a steep sloping field. But fortunately there was some houses being built round us, and I asked the builders if they'd tip their soil onto our land. So for 2 days they were bringing in hundreds and hundreds of tons of clay and then topsoil, and then I could terrace it, so we had some small level gardens. And then I asked the farmer if he wanted that tumbled down old wall, and he said, "I'll take it, I'll be pleased to see the back of it." So I brought all the stone up and made a nice 7-foot wall all round. So we had a walled garden. I'll just go down here, leave the hens there, pecking away, and pass through the formal pond garden, and then down through the azalea garden. Just every day there's more and more of them coming out now. So bright colours. Another week, I think, it'll be perfect. How bright that one is. I'm going to turn a corner around here now, past this little border here. Spring flowers here, some later flowering azaleas. This is quite interesting, actually. This is a Bramley apple tree, just a small one, a few years old. The interesting thing about it is that it's come from a cutting from the original Bramley apple tree, which a little girl called Mary Ann Brailsford, she put an apple pip in the garden of her parents' home in 1809, and 36 years after that, when the apple tree had grown quite big, Mary Ann had got married and left. Her parents were dead, and a man called Matthew Bramley moved into the cottage. A nurseryman was passing by one day, saw these enormous apples on the tree, and asked if he could take some cuttings. Mr. Bramley said he could, and I think it was in about 1861 the first Bramleys were on sale. Thank goodness his name was Bramley and not Ramsbottom. I'd have hated to gone to the market and asked for 3 large Ramsbottoms. If you're ever getting one azalea, then I'd recommend this one, Lutium, because it's got such a powerful scent that spreads a good few yards from the bush, and underneath bluebells and a few alliums, and you've got a really nice site there. Now up here there's a little garden I wanted to show you. This garden is the Dovecote Garden, just a circular garden, a little holly hedge this side, an arbour over there, wreathed in honeysuckle, which is a good one because it's got its feet in some really damp soil, and that means it's going to thrive. Well, it does thrive very, very well, and fills this little garden with scent in the evening. The border there's over now. It was daffodils, grape hyacinths, tulips, but later on those fuchsias will grow into a good hedge, and by July you'll have a thick hedge of fuchsia there, little flower for, well, from July up till the frosts, and hanging over the little wall there'll be nasturtiums and calendulas and rudbeckias, so it's got another show still to come. I was speaking to somebody about doves recently, and he said, oh, I dipped mine all into food colourings, just the, not the heads, just the bodies, and so he had pink, green, blue, red, purple doves all flying about. That must have sent the twitchers running to their bird books, wondering what on earth they'd seen. Anyway, if we come down here, this building here is my workshop. Again, I've used stone from farmers who had tumbled down walls that they were wanting to get rid of, so it didn't cost me anything. I wanted to show you something inside. I've got a big planted aviary in another garden where I keep canaries, but I usually have about 15, but the numbers have been declining because they don't breed very well in an aviary. So I've had to bring some of them inside so that I can breed some. So in here we've got some canaries nesting. Now then, there's prettier canaries than this, but these are German Harz Mountain roller canaries, and they're a bit special really because 200 years ago this strain of canary was developed in the Harz Mountains, and they realised that they imitated very well the songs of other birds. So they used nightingales as tutors, and the nightingales trained these young birds to sing like nightingales. And then after that, the best songsters were used to train the next brood of canaries. So now we've got canaries that sing just like nightingales, and that's why I keep them. They're in the planted aviary outside, and on summer evenings when the windows of the bedroom are open, the garden is full of the sound of nightingales. I was hearing from a man in deepest Norfolk, and he remembered when he was young, he used to go to the outside toilet, and as soon as he flushed the toilet, the nightingales in the woods started to sing. They must have thought the sound of the toilet flushing was some sort of competition. Anyway, we'll go this way. I'll show you this other building. I can't take any credit for this one because this one was built by 3 of my sons who owed me money. So I said, right, well, instead of paying me back, I'd like you to make an office in the garden for your mum, so that we can get all this stuff out of the bedroom, and she can have her own little place outside to do her handiworks and anything else. So one of our sons, Paddy, is a dry stone waller, so he made the building so it looks like a dry stone building. Did a good job of it. It's not a dry stone building really. I'll explain how it was built in a moment. Ben is a joiner, so he did all the timber work in here, and our son Simeon is an electrician, so he connected it all up to the fuse box in the house. You can see that it's wreathed with roses all around it, rambling roses and climbers. The one on this side is called the Rambling Rector. What a name, the Rambling Rector. Somebody had a good sense of humour who named that rose. Over the oak beam there you can see little Gremlin. I think he's picking his feet actually. He looks cheerful enough. And above that, a finial. I was quite pleased with a finial until a man came and said, oh yeah, finials. In the Philippines, he said, they always put those on the top of brothels, so you know that it's a brothel. That sort of spoilt it a bit for me, really. Anyway, if we go inside, we'll have a look at what we've got. So here's the office, and this is how it's been constructed. It's got a timber frame, and then there's a cavity, and then a concrete block wall, and then Paddy with wall ties sticking out, and then Paddy cemented the stonework onto the block work, and the ties hold it all together. The timber frame is stuffed with rock wool, so it's really well insulated. Ceilings filled with insulation, and so is the floor. I put two little windows in. One little window here, which looks out onto the azalea garden, and then a little window here that looks out onto the dovecot garden, and then we've got windows there that look out onto another garden. We've got a nice storage space up there, and out of here, out of the doorway, we look onto another garden. That's it for today. We're going to look at 4 gardens next time, but until then, that's it.